Hi guys, today we're talking about the problem, cause, and effect framework, the rhetorical framework for our unseen injustice essay. Now, as we talked about rhetorical strategies before, narrative, cause and effect, comparison, contrast, this should not be entirely new to you. And for this essay, we're really going to focus in on the whole idea of cause and effect. Specifically, you're going to try to figure out the causes and possible solutions for the problem you see, and that's the unseen injustice that we've been talking about on the discussion boards. Now, this is so important for injustices because you cannot solve problems, okay? You have to solve the causes to really get at what's going wrong in the world, okay? Because if you're just treating the problems directly, you're dealing with the symptoms, not the disease. For instance, if you have somebody who's gone bald from stress and you give them a wig, yeah, it deals with the problem of them being bald, but it's not solving the underlying stress, so their life is still going to be too stressful and too strung out. So you need to find the cause and treat those, the causes of the situation, making the problem go away by extension. Okay, so you're treating the stress in that situation of the bald person directly, which will hopefully make their life better. Now, some causes to problems are simple, obvious, more short-term, and those are okay to talk about, but usually if it's obvious, it's not that important to talk about because we want those causes that are long-term and complex that take a little bit more digging. Okay, so for instance, imagine that the problem that we're going to look at is the math scores in the United States that are worse than other countries. Okay, that's a true statement. A lot of the countries around the world are doing better than our students in math. Now you could just look at that and say, okay, well, an obvious cause is students do more poorly on the test, so therefore the scores are lower. And that doesn't take a whole lot of thought process, right? So then you want to start thinking about, well, why? Why are they doing more poorly, right? So a more long-term cause, a more deeply rooted cause would be something like problems with the educational system and attitudes about education, right? And if you look at some other countries, they think about education much differently. They respect it more. It's more important to them. So therefore, that's a more deep-rooted cause that you can look into and think about how exactly that's causing the problem of the low test scores. That's a little bit more useful than just the basic, this kid got that question wrong. Right? So that's what we're looking for with our own essays. Now with your own unseen injustice essay, let's walk through this really clearly. You're going to look for a similar pattern. Okay, you will identify the problem, and that's easy. We've already done that at this point or gotten pretty close to it. That's the injustice itself. Then you will describe what that problem is, who it is unjust to. If it's an injustice, it must be unfairness for somebody, some group of people, or people at large. Then you can even look at the effects of that problem, right? What other problems and effects are coming out of that issue. Finally, or next, look at the causes. What is causing the problem? What's causing these bad things to happen? Is somebody gaining from it? Is somebody profiting from misery, etc.? Look to those things. Or is it natural disasters? It could be a lot of things that could be causing these problems. And finally, you will talk about solutions that have been offered, and you'll find this in your research, and whether those have worked or not, whether they've been implemented or not. For instance, there's people who have come up with solutions for climate change that they think would solve the causes of that problem, but if they haven't put them into motion yet, we're not sure if they're going to work. Okay, but you can report on those as well as ones that have been tried. Keep in mind, though, you're not going to take a position. It's very important to remain informative in this essay, not to take a position on which solution is best, but rather to just report on it just like you're doing with the cause and the problem. Okay, so once again, for the Unseen Injustice essay, our basic framework will be problem. What is the injustice? What's it doing in the world to be so unjust? Then you're going to move into the causes, what's causing it, and finally the solutions. How are we going to solve the causes, or how can it be solved, all remaining informative. If you can do that, you're going to have a really good, informative, unseen injustice essay.